Gyokeres was once a red-hot name. But as the transfer window officially opened, everything cooled down in a strangely quiet fashion. The media had painted a picture of a money-fueled bidding war involving Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, and even Real Madrid. A battle where not enquiring was seen as outdated. But when it came time to knock on Sporting's door, no club truly dared to slam down an offer. No one triggered the release clause, and there were no serious bids. This raises a big question. Did the clubs themselves feel there was something unconvincing about Viktor Gyokeres? If you find this content interesting, engaging, and useful, don't hesitate to hit subscribe. Even more exciting stories are just around the corner. A striker who scored dozens of goals in Portugal, a league still considered second tier in Europe, but is that enough to stand out in the Premier League or La Liga? Then there's the matter of playing style. Gyokeres can play independently but isn't great at linking up in a group. He can press, but he's not the explosive type. Many thought this would be the hottest deal of the summer, a media blockbuster. The press speculated endlessly, yet when the window opened, no club actually tabled a bid or tried to break the contract. Viktor Gyokeres' transfer saga this summer has turned into a multi-layered drama where every player involved only added to the chaos. At first, everything seemed straightforward. Gyokeres wanted to leave, Arsenal needed a quality striker. And both sides had a gentleman's agreement, a verbal promise that if a bid of around €60 million plus add-ons came in, Sporting wouldn't make things difficult. That's what Gyokeres' camp always claimed. But when Arsenal returned with a bid matching that exact amount, Sporting's president made a complete U-turn, suddenly demanding at least €80 million. The reason was simple: they knew they were holding on to a hot asset and wanted to push the price to the limit. Gyokeres was furious. He refused to train, publicly declared his dissatisfaction, and accused Sporting of going back on their word. From his agent's point of view, it was a betrayal. But on the flip side, if they knew the agreement wasn't legally binding, relying on a verbal promise for a player's future was a clear professional misstep. Things got messier when Gyokeres' agent deliberately dragged Manchester United into the mix as a strategic bluff. Rumours spread that United were interested, and that coach Amorim, the man who helped elevate Gyokeres, was keen to reunite with his former player. But behind the scenes, it was all theatre. Man United had never submitted a formal offer. Internally, the club weren't keen. They were busy chasing other targets and, more importantly, not playing in the Champions League, the very reason Gyokeres had previously stated for turning them down. When United ignored the agent's media games, Gyokeres' true motives became clear. The Swedish striker threw a tantrum and U-turned, claiming he never wanted to join United and that it wasn't the right destination. That reaction only made things look more ridiculous. Everyone could see it was a tactic to pressure Sporting, but it completely backfired. What about Arsenal? They were once very close to Gyokeres. But rather than engage in a power struggle with a club willing to change terms at will and an agent full of tricks, Arsenal backed out and turned their focus to a younger target, Benjamin Sesko. Although the Sesko deal ultimately fell through, Arsenal's stance was clear: they preferred a young striker with long-term potential rather than spend nearly €100 million on a 27-year-old who might destabilize the dressing room if things didn't go his way. And so, the deal that once looked ready to explode collapsed into a dead end. Staying at Sporting would be uncomfortable, the player had made his position clear, and the leadership had lost credibility. Leaving was difficult too, as top clubs feared the drama, the high price, and the reckless public statements. Viktor Gyokeres is now stuck between his own expectations, his agent's miscalculations, and the bottomless greed of his current club. If they're not careful, this summer could turn a once highly rated striker into unwanted stock, devalued and disrespected. Gyokeres might be a goal machine in Portugal, but when weighed against the high standards of Europe's elite clubs, he brings a host of unanswered questions. First and foremost, the price. When a striker is valued at €80 to €100 million, there's an expectation of near-complete skill sets and, at the very least, a proven profile in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. Yet Gyokeres has never played for a major club in any of them. His only stints in England, with Coventry City and Brighton, left no lasting impression. That was a quiet failure. Gyokeres had a chance to prove himself in the Premier League but didn't stick. He had to go the long way through the Championship and then to Sporting. There he exploded, but having already failed once in England, clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea naturally asked if he returns to the Premier League. Does he have the mentality and adaptability to avoid repeating past mistakes? Moreover, despite his ideal build, tall, strong, good at playing solo, there's a paradox. Gyokeres isn't actually good in the air. Time and again, he mistimes jumps, chooses poor positions, and appears clumsy with aerial balls. For a muscular centre-forward, that's a significant weakness. In the Premier League, where set pieces, crosses, and counter-attacks are crucial, failing to exploit height properly diminishes his overall value. Age is also a factor. Now 27, Gyokeres is no longer a development project. He's not the kind of long-term investment like Sesko, Evan Ferguson, or Santiago Giménez. This is the point in his career when he needs to deliver immediately. But to do that, he needs a stable environment, and not every top club is willing to fully trust a player past the development stage, who's never had a successful season at the highest level. And comes with an outrageous price tag. Lastly, there's the non-technical factor, personality and adaptability. Gyokeres going on strike, refusing to play, and letting his agent spin endless transfer stories has made clubs cautious. No one wants to bring in a player who might kick off when things don't go his way. It's not just a matter of professionalism, it directly affects the dressing room, especially at clubs like Arsenal or Man United, where mental stability and system discipline are fundamental. So, despite his talent, Gyokeres is turning himself into a high-risk transfer, an inflated price, an unproven profile, a persistent weakness in aerial duels, and no longer young. It's becoming a confusing equation. In today's market, where every signing is analyzed through data and long-term strategy, a single red flag can collapse a deal, let alone for the big clubs. Once expected to be scrapping for Gyokeres, have all faded away. No one's really making a move, and no one seems all that eager. Arsenal, once seen as the ideal destination, are now indifferent. They don't deny Gyokeres' ability, but they've shown no concrete action, no new bid, no pressure on Sporting. For Arsenal, missing out on Sesko is a regret, but that doesn't mean they'll return to Gyokeres at all costs. That's never been Arteta's approach. Manchester United, clearly, don't see Gyokeres as central to their transfer plans. After sealing a deal for Matheus Cunha, they turned their attention to Bryan Mbeumo, someone who can play as a false 9 or out wide. Only if that move fails would they consider Gyokeres. That strategy shows Gyokeres is really a plan C, not a priority. And the first real sign of indifference came from Chelsea. The London club opted to buy Liam Delap from Ipswich Town for just £30 million, an affordable deal, youth-focused, and crucially, avoiding Gyokeres altogether. With Delap and many other attacking options already in place, it's clear Chelsea aren't interested in a €100 million, 27-year-old striker with no proven Premier League record. The more we see the cold response from the top clubs, the clearer it becomes, Gyokeres is losing himself in a transfer tale that's been wildly overhyped.